So to all you lovely Aurum Gallery lovelies, one of my favourite artists, and she's been around a very long time. And when I saw her work, I was quite blown away by her technique, which I'm sure she'll explain for you. Um, but Pam, you've been secretly, quietly in the background, milling away, the struggling artist. Two kids that are in the following you behind, with a husband in tow, and you're very busy with it. And you just opened a shop as well.
Yeah, I just thought I wasn't busy enough, So I thought, oh no, I'll open a gallery, but I can't really have a gallery off with you because yours is enormous and mine is tiny.
No, but it's all right. It's all squares and boxes. We're starting to rave again. I'm really happy. I mean, I know we're all just packing boxes. I've been. I mean, I was saying to when I first started doing the kind of experimenting with abstract stuff from the wood. I think we were at Red Bull. I went
Yeah,
to Red Bull, and I think Eddie
yeah.
did a little pop-up show at the Red Bull Gallery, and I was fascinated with your work. And I remember we did this wonderful exchange, of which you can see right here as we intercut this wonderful Basquiat that I love that you did for me.
Yeah.
And you got to tell me what your fascination is, because I always forget his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's going to come to me. Is there Darwin? What was the?
Darwin.
Yeah, what you got it? Because anyway. So for those of you that don't know, how me and Pam met, we had a mutual respect for each other's work, and I said to Pam, "Oh, I'd love to get a piece of yours. Oh, I'd love to get a bit of your work." I said, "Well, I need to commission me to do something," and I love this Basquiat, and she loved Darwin. Explain.
Well, Darwin was the one that realised about evolution. Like he had it going on, and he was kind of, I don't know. Now he's vindicated because obviously we're like, yeah, evolution. But back in the day, he was a laughing stock, and he was a forerunner of like free thought, and I just think he's a bit of a hero because he stuck to his guns. He produced this book which was ridiculed, and now everyone looks at the evolution and just realizes that yeah, he was right. But previous to that, the idea of evolution was absolutely ridiculous.
Well, maybe the thing in that is really what we think about the art. I think it's really because obviously all about the science and how evolution works and moving forward.
Mm,
But your fascination with him really got me going. I'm thinking, cool. Do you want me to paint Darwin? It was so outrageous for me to paint. It's kind of really, it's kind of completely different character. But I enjoyed
yeah,
doing it because he was one of the very early pieces of working with the evolution of paint color, if you like.
yeah, yeah.
And if you've got a picture of it, it'd be great to send me a high res picture of it so I can insert it into this said video
Completely,
to give
yeah.
people an idea of context of what it was.
So he's doing this, and oh, he's also my favourite portrait in the National Portrait Gallery. There's a beautiful portrait of Darwin in the National Portrait Gallery, and he's all in black, and he's got this massive beard, and
Mm.
he's just very statuesque, and it's just a stunning portrait, and I guess it reminds me of that. But also because he's doing this, he's next to the drum kit in our house, so he's always going. Um,
It,
and and so not only does my husband play drums, but now all the kids play drums as well. And so
seriously.
Darwin's always looking on, just going, shh, please be
Ah,
quiet.
so you've got a real artistic family there. I mean, for anyone that's seen this for the first time, what was your background coming up? Did you study art like full time? Did you go to found? Did you do like foundation course? Did you go to art college? Did you? So give us Pam Glew, in a 3 minute expose of Pam Glew's life in challenging the arts of going to school and learning about art. What was your thing?
Okay, okay. Well, in a nutshell, I grew up in Cornwall, and there was very little to do. So everyone was basically drawing in the rain and indoors. So that was a really good starting point, just being the kind of nerdy kid that draws all the time. But I was also really into theatre. So I was in these annual pantos every year. So theatre was my first love. And I
Wow.
was in these kind of drafty church halls, dressed as a fairy, eating crisps, waiting to go on. and always painted the backdrops in all these plays. So I did art foundation in Falmouth for a year.
Foundation. I did foundation 1 and 2.
Yeah,
And I
I really
failed.
loved it.
Yeah, foundation 2 was when they decided I was, no disrespect to the beautiful, voluptuous lady, but I was like, I was kind of on that nude painting rather large women, and it didn't quite agree with me. So I chipped. That was it.
Yeah.
So you Falmouth, you went to
I quite
Falmouth.
enjoyed doing the Fat Ladies, but yeah.
So Falmouth Art School.
Yeah, Falmouth. So right at the bottom of Cornwall. And yeah, Falmouth Art School for a year. And then I was really debating between fine art and theatre. And in the end, I chose theatre. And my degree was in theatre design. So designing sets and costumes for the stage. And when I think I was in the second year of that, and I thought actually theatre's not massively for me, but I kind of stuck with it and did it. And then as soon as I finished my degree, we moved from London to Brighton. And I was just like, I'm just going to set myself up as an artist, having not really done any painting or printmaking or anything for 3 years because I'd been doing theatre. And I just started very small scale making kind of stencils, I guess. I was like kind of making stencils at the beginning, but on metal, because I lived quite near a metal sort of junkyard, basically. And I picked up these big pieces of copper and I was experimenting with bleaching them. So I put bleach and ammonia on copper to make it go green. You know, that like patination.
Yeah.
And then I'd use gold leaf and metal leaf to do stencils. And I started exhibiting in like little cafes and bars and small scale restaurants and stuff in Brighton. And then worked my way up until I got a basement gallery show in Brighton. A few years after graduating, I can't remember what the year that was. And then I started on the flags thing after September.
That's the thing. We've had such a great response in the gallery because number one, my favourite female artist, like and I wish there were more. And I sense we're unearthing, and there's a lot more coming through now. But I think for me, as far as pioneer female British artists, I always felt that not only is it the fact that you paint, but also the fact that you de-paint and you are working with the reverse engineering of bleaching flags, was something which you started off with set design. But the flag thing specifically, how did that really come to bear fruit? Because a strange thing, was it just one of those random things you woke up and went, flags?
Kind of. It was September the 11th that was the beginning of it. So 9/11 happened, and then obviously there was the war in Afghanistan, and there was this kind of cultural change, and also current affairs changed so much that the news was a lot of flag burning. So it just seemed like suddenly I was making these very pretty pieces on copper that were like stencily, but they were gold leaf, silver leaf, copper. But what I was seeing on the news was basically flag burning, just like people burning each other's flags all the time because of the war in Afghanistan. And I was really angry about the whole American foreign policy. George Bush was in power. It was all that kind of, the whole fear culture thing was kicking off. And I kind of felt like we were made to feel scared, and I kind of was angry about that. And the whole fear culture thing, so I started looking at horror films because I've always been obsessed by horror films. And I was taking screen stills of women looking beautiful but scared in those horror films. And then I started doing them on copper. And I was doing these stencils on copper, and they were okay, but they weren't saying what I wanted them to say. So I did the first flag, which was called Holy Flag, on a real American flag, and I burnt it on with a heat gun. But it filled my studio with black smoke, because you can imagine like burning textiles in a group
Pam,
studio.
What happens when you set flags alight indoors?
Yeah, you get smoke, right? So I wasn't very popular in the studio for that first one, but it went into a gallery. It was somewhere in Stoke, Stroud House Gallery, and they put it in the window, and it sold. but they got loads of eggs being pelted at the window because it was really kind of controversial, and it was
Really?
kind of like a burnt flag. Obviously, with flag law, you're not meant to spoil a flag, certainly not meant to burn it, you know. So I kind of thought, well, I'm onto something here, but I can't do burning flags because everyone's going to hate me in the art studio. So I then started using
And the
ink.
world, Pam.
And the
And the
yeah.
world. And the world.
So I started using ink, but ink on flags looks shiny. No matter what paint or ink I use, it had like an annoying texture that didn't look like the flag. So I kind of wanted a way of the flags to look like the image was ingrained in it, like it had always been there. So previous to my A-levels, I was doing textiles, and I remember doing dyeing and bleaching, and I was like, well, maybe dyeing and bleaching works. And it did, and it's a weird process, and it takes ages because you have to dye the thing black, bleach it with sponges or with anything that doesn't dissolve, like paintbrushes that are made of nylon, and then wash it before it starts rotting the fabric, so you get holes.
Well, that's
and
the
then
fascination. That's the thing about it that I found so fascinating, the amount of, the level of how much bleach you put on, or the strength. And of course, that's something you've managed, you know, over the years, a technique which is all of your own, I've never seen. And it also reminded me of this wonderful, there's this great thing this artist was doing in New York, where he was going into tunnels and he was removing the dust from the tunnels on the walls and creating reverse graffiti. But of course, you couldn't arrest him for vandalism because, of course, it isn't. He's not actually adding anything to it. But I also thought the same contexture with what the same texturization what you're doing.
Yeah.
Within the same context of what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's great that you have this idea of also masking the flag by making it black, and then taking away from it to reveal this other kind of truth, if you like. Which I think that's something that I picked up on. And look, it's very subjective for anyone. But I think with some of the iconic figures and faces that you've done, it's also that idea of the dark American dream. You know what I mean? It's like when I went to America, I realised that actually the Statue of Liberty, it's not all about the Liberty anymore, and the Bronx is broken, and the rest of America it's not the Bronx. That's the metropolis that symbolises everything that's broken, that's on the surface of it all, and everything else is the kind of the rainbow dream. Do you know what I mean? Especially where we're at now. But how does that bear relevance to you now?
Well, for a while, I didn't want to touch American flags. Like, as soon as Trump got in power, I kind of wanted to leave them because I kind of thought, it was just, Bush was one thing, but Trump is just next level, obviously. So, there's so many problems in America. It's so kind of divisive at the moment, and I think it's tricky to sort of say too much about American politics because kind of it's all been said and we kind of know it, but there is this thing like Liberty was an interesting one. I did a whole series of the Statue of Liberty because Liberty was meant to be welcoming the people to the shores of America, and then since Trump's been in, obviously he's anti-immigration, wants to build a wall. But there's still a Statue of Liberty that's there, like, welcome, come here.
Well, it's like we have a great artist. I mean, if you saw Wild Chirichicicle's work with the Statue of Liberty, all wrapped up in fragile tape, and this idea of these two little characters sitting at the base of it, and the balance of powers changed, and the maze getting to her. It's very clever that even Asian artists as well has picked up on that. But I think there was also a thing about you finding 52 star flags, which is something that you must be running. Because I remember the first time we spoke about it, you were like, I'm finding 52 star flags hard to find now.
Yeah.
Are you running out of flags?
Well, yeah. So basically, I like 48 star flags because that's the one that I've used quite a lot with. Because they're symmetrical, so they have a kind of like, but they're getting older, I suppose. And yeah, I am finding it quite hard to find. And sometimes I get a flag. That's the kind of funny process of textiles is you can dye something, bleach something, and sometimes it bleaches a weird color. Like you get the couple that I did for your gallery, a lot of the blues are ultraviolet, which is brilliant. Like it's actually like a really
That's
nice happy
something else,
accident.
yeah. I mean,
But
we had
sometimes,
such an amazing, you know, I think there's one left, I think. We had such an amazing, I think they've all gone actually. I think we had such an amazing, because it was so different for Aurum Gallery, not in our concepts of what we want to achieve, but in the way that, you know, Asian art and Asian customers, the way they look at it, especially in lockdown. Where is this? What is this? And we've had a few expats that are there that, you know, that have bought a few pieces for their kids. But it's really it's such a strong medium that I love what you've done with it. And I mean, where are you at now, Pam, as an artist? Because we've got the prints coming soon.
yeah, I've got them here actually.
Can I have a look? Can we see them, please? Exclusive.
Yeah, okay.
Ooh,
So
let
this
me look.
is 2-pack.
Oh, here we go. So here we go. Aurum Gallery. Look at this.
So 2-packs hand finished with it's got black sort of tar medium in drips, and also it's got a blue iridescent on the stars. I don't know if you can see the stars
I
going.
can just about make it out. I see it.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got that one. We've got a Basquiat. Basquiat's got gold tar mediums. He's got gold kind of like drips.
Wow, I love
And
the
also
edging.
blue-
I love the edging
blue
on this.
on the stars. That's
Wow.
Basquiat.
Wow.
And then, so yeah, they're all. Here we go. This one's
Oh, wow.
Jim. Jim's got blue as well, and the black tar gel.
You've used
And
this
then-
printer for a long time. He's been with you originally from the start, correct?
Yeah. So it's Harwood King in
Wow.
in the UK. They're really amazing. They're kind of like just a fine art screen printers.
Beautiful. Well, what's great
yeah,
about
so
it,
these-
thank you, Pam, for sharing that with us. I mean, the thing is, with your work, you have to find the right print to get the level of depth and stuff. And of course, you know, for us, it's great. It's good timing now. And of course, within all the arts, especially what we're going through, it's been very difficult. But supporting you and you supporting us and all the other artists that we have, it's been an amazing journey for us.
Yeah, right. I mean, what a year to open up a gallery, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we, you know, as a founder and my partner as a co-founder, we made a decision early on that what we stand for is we wanted to do a lot of work that wasn't necessarily, especially for the beginning, that it wasn't consignment. Because of where we're placed geographically, it's very difficult for us to be like that, to be honest, because we wanted it to have a museum texture, so that all the art that we have in the gallery we own. So there's not this constant pressure of feeling like, I always feel like some of these galleries I go to, you feel like I'm dealing with bank clerks.
Yes.
Got to get you a cancer and get in and out, sir. And it just seems a little bit like, I mean, you know what I mean? I'm at the bank counter at the TSB when I was a kid. I just feel like it's someone trying to scupper me into, you know, if you're going to buy a piece of art, it's for the love of the art. Of course, it's an investment at the end of the day for something for a family or something later on as an individual. But the appreciation of it for a piece, for people to be in the space, the first thing that they say is, wow, the space. It's the first thing they say. The space is amazing. And also the sense of, generally with social media and the way that it is, I use my Instagram for fun. I launch some stuff on there for the label and for the gallery, but essentially it is fun. It's something that I keep at a distance. But the idea is, the one thing that the music, I've realised over the years, has been compromised by MP3s and WAVs. You play it out, you can hear it, but being in the club, and if anyone's out there that can relate to this, how very different it is now. You don't hear the music in the context of a club. So the idea of going to a gallery, you can't download art. You can't download it. It's the one true thing that still exists, where we can go into the gallery space. And I found a lot of people visiting Aurum, they just feel like they've had a really good meal. They walk around and see all these great artists and get to take it in.
it feeds his soul, doesn't it? I mean, it literally, we need it to feed our soul. But also with the whole pandemic thing, I suppose having a space that people can go to, you can, I don't know what things are like in Thailand, but at the moment in here, here it's like social distancing. You can't get between, 2 meters between everybody. Have you got that in Thailand?
Not really, to be honest. It's not really like that here, and I think we were the first to lock down. I think
Yeah,
I think that's become such. I mean, that does nothing. I think it's. But let's not get into that. But it's an absolute puppet master.
yeah,
It's that Kaiser Solsek thing. The guy that made you feel like the devil didn't exist. Well done. It's brilliant. They've just got this way of going, right, all of you guys are all wearing masks now, and also, and it makes no odds and no difference at all. It's like, this is, if we look at 1918, 1937, there was no, they didn't have the devices, they didn't have the social distance, they got on with it, they got it, they left it, the human beings adapted, end of. But let's not go there. Right. But here in Thailand, in Asia, we are very, we stick to the, we kind of stick to the rule, the governing body of what it is. We try and be polite with it. But within the gallery and the space, we have a certain, ideas and certain things that we're very kind of, we're careful.
yeah,
But remember, there's no one been in and out of Thailand, so it's not here. It just isn't here.
yeah,
So the
yeah,
idea of being more relaxed and also getting on with it has been really a beautiful thing for us to have this great space for people to come and look at.
yeah.
When
And
was the last time for you? What does the idea of walking into a gallery for you? Does it still give you that thing? What was the last gallery you visited, for example?
um, okay, so it was probably pre-lockdown. It was the Tate, basically. I mean, apart from my gallery that I run in Brighton, but the last big gallery, I guess, was going to the Tate,
And who did you see there?
um,
Who did you
I
see?
saw all the main collections. It was I don't think we saw any of the special shows, but it was just generally like go see all the main collections that are always open. And I think it's going to the turbine hall is always a brilliant moment. When you go to that big hall and it's the sense of space and scale. I
Yeah.
think as a sort of it's almost like going to church. Not that I'm religious, but it's that kind of feeling of just like, you just
Yeah, the
feel
turbine
like,
hall. I mean, it is that
yeah,
impactful thing. It always reminds me when you were at school and you were doing anything that represented the future. You see a model and you had these tiny figurines and had this
yeah,
big thing, and you felt like that. And
yeah,
that's what I like about
yeah,
it. I mean, we're
yeah,
not
yeah,
quite turbine hall yet at the Aurum Gallery, but I love the idea that people come in. As soon as people come in with their kids, I'm like, kid alert! Just be careful. We're running around. And
yeah,
it is a lovely space for people to go and view the art. And I
yeah,
think, and it's a good area. I think the area of Churong Krung's growing. It's very much the kind of the good Shoreditch, if you like, of the way that it was years back before it got, as it always does. It's a
yeah,
lovely
yeah,
area, and a couple of places are opening next to us now, which is lovely. There's also a gallery which we get on with really well, which is amazing. But tell me, Pam, I'm really curious because you went through the learning of the art and you've gone through this whole idea and you found yourself within the flags, but you've also done a lot of big projects yourself. Tell us a little bit about the projects that you've done. I mean, Armani was one of them. Have you done many big projects for corporate people, or what would be your guilty pleasure project and what would be your proud moment project? Those two things.
Okay, so I've done quite a lot of things with fashion brands, and I think it's probably because I use textiles and denim that I tend to be like one of those choices of like, well, okay, if a big brand wants to work with an artist, then I tend to be somewhere on the list because I use textiles. But yeah, I did this project with Armani. They were celebrating their 40th anniversary, I think, and it was a digital art project where they produced sunglasses to kind of to celebrate their 40th anniversary. And people could buy the sunglasses, take a photo of themselves, like a selfie. This was like pre-selfies when selfies were quite new.
Right.
And then I would do a portrait of them digitally.
Wow. Okay.
And that was using my textiles and my technique, but it was a digital JPEG basically. That was quite an interesting project. And I've also worked with Ralph Lauren. I did a really nice project making a star with Ralph Lauren. So they basically they produced these wooden stars, like 6 foot, and then they sent it to my studio when it was snowing in January, and I had a top floor studio at the time, and it was in an old. It was basically in an old cow shed. So I was in the top level, and it wouldn't go through the front door. It was slightly too tall and too wide to go through the front door. So we had to take it up the fire escape, which was like decommissioned. You're not allowed up there. It's a death trap, covered in ice. And we had to somehow get it in. We got it in anyway. And I had, and I made basically a flag for a star, which is kind of like making a poncho for a star, like a 5-pointed thing. That anyway,
right. So
that was cool.
You had to cut it and sew it, so to speak, to fit.
Yeah. So it was a 3D star, and then that did a tour around of all the European Ralph Lauren shops that sold their polo jeans, and then it got auctioned for Teenage Cancer Trust. So it was a nice thing. But yeah, as far as what I'd love to do in the future would be something similar to that, but brands that are like super sustainable. I'm really obsessed with recycled textiles, like shoes or trainers that are made of recycled materials, like plastic. They somehow kind of dredged ocean plastic and turned it into the sole of a shoe. That stuff I just find so exciting. Any kind of way of doing a recycled pair of jeans is just like brilliant. I think we need more of that.
Well,
so if I could work with brands doing that'd be awesome.
Even with bamboo stuff, when I started looking at bamboo cotton, I mean, the texture, the feel of it's amazing. You know, and it can be, it can be reused, and I really love the idea of that. But I think the Freudian fascination with your stuff for me goes back to when we used to bleach the back of jean panels for hip hop. We used to have, we used to paint on the back of jackets, which I always felt was a really cool thing. And I always felt that, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I always felt that everyone's kind of going to this retro thing, and the idea, it's really quite, it's kind of that stupid human thing where, we want like the distressed, we want the, a pair of jeans that you buy now for 500 quid, we would have taken them back 15 years ago. I said, I want my money back, these are ripped. You know what I mean? Yeah. The idea of doing the panels on the back of a denim jacket that you would do, that you could actually take off the panel, and you were to buy Pam Glew panels for the back, that you just Velcro on, I thought was something that's no one's still done. I felt that was a real thing, that I felt that if I was a denim company, I would be doing that. I would be getting an old Levi's jacket with a panel at the back, or Evisu, or whatever it might be, and have these panels that you do, and you can just buy these panels, and you just put them on, take them off. Whatever concert you go into, you take them on and put them off. And I still think that's something that's still not been done with you. I felt that was interesting. Maybe there's an idea we could do maybe 5 mannequins next year. Then we do 5 mannequins that we put the jackets on. That's kind of a bit more of something different. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Because I think when it gets into sort of wearable stuff, then it gets quite exciting. The other thing I really love.
Something we should do. I don't know if it's something you thought about, but I always felt that maybe we should do that, because I think Asia's got this thing where I think this kind of retro jackets that were, that we bleach the arms, and we do the old style where we wrap them up in elastics and stuff, and we bleach them, and we get an overall look. And then we maybe do these panels for the back that we can do, and we can even, print or whatever you want to do, we can work that out. But to be able to do these great iconic figures that you do, that we could probably do that with some great letter fonts to kind of keep it in that old school kind of graph style. But it might be something really cool that we could do together maybe next year, something. I'm just thinking outside the box of what would be nice to think about doing as a project, as something that might be like, 5 to 9 jackets that might look really cool on mannequins. So what's the gallery? So the gallery, just explain to me why you did it, and who your partner is, and what is it? Why? How?
So the gallery is called Paxton and Glew, and I'm Glew, obviously, and Emily Paxton is my business partner. And she's a really old friend and a photographer. And basically, she came to me about a year or so ago and said, "Here's an idea. Why don't we open a gallery?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'd love to, but I'm just like massively busy." And she was like, "Yeah, but two of us, we could do it. We could make it work." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, let's just do a pop-up and see how it goes." So we did a pop-up last year, which you were in, which was the urban miniatures, where we sent you the train.
Yes.
And you painted the trains. And that went really well. So we were like in all the national newspapers on it, and we were on BBC
Brilliant.
News stuff, and it went like huge. Where we had basically a train running around the gallery painted by graffiti artists. And so then this year we had a beach hut project where we sent some flat pack beach huts to some UK artists, the ones that often live near the coast, and said, "Can you paint a beach hut?" So it was slightly more like a kind of holiday project. The way it worked was basically in February we sent them, and then lockdown happened, and we were going to have an exhibition of them in May, but we couldn't, so it went online. And then in the summer we were basically running as an online gallery, and in the summer we were like, well, we need to show these beach huts because they're amazing, because they were painted by UK kind of street artists. And so we got the space to have them in the window, and they looked amazing. And then now we've negotiated that we've got this space until the end of the year at least.
Well, I'm going to love you and leave you. You'll still remain one of my favourite artists. I love what you do. I think it's. I always think it's the art of simple complexity, is the way I look at it. This is my quote. Thank you, Pam. And I think, maybe we can do some mannequins, maybe we can do some kimonos, maybe we can play around with Thai flags or something. But I think it's really amazing what you're doing, and I'm so grateful for your support. And it's good to see you, man. I'm not seeing sort of just.
It's amazing. Virtual hug.
Hair of yours. Yeah, I know. But love you loads, Pam, and thank you so much.
Amazing. Peace out.
Take love care. To your family and stuff, and I hope your drummer keeps beating on them drums.
Yeah. Take care.
See you later, Pam.